Hey everyone, Military Gun Guy here. Wanted to give you a quick update on this, one of the Krag rifle stocks that I've been working on. This is kind of a beater donor stock. Unfortunately, it's been very poorly done by God knows who. But this one, if you recall, is the one that we had been working on. This needs to be filled a little bit more with some epoxy, but we have a nice strong repair. This has been drilled, and it has the two brass screws and then the dowel in there. Have left to just basically clean this area up, fill this, and then once it's finished, we're good to go. Also, you recall I was using a file to kind of clean this area up. Again, kind of making that nice sharp edge. This is nice and flat on top, so you have a perfect lineup with the barrel. And then I'd also bleached the stock as it was in pretty bad shape. It was pretty filthy. I also had done some drilling. You can see a crack there and there. It was a pretty significant crack. I've actually filled that and sanded it down. Once this thing is stained, you won't see the crack at all. Underneath here, there was actually there was a screw. I didn't like how there was a screw here, and I didn't like how they had done it. So I drilled it out. I put a piece of dowel in there, and then I leveled it off, and then I actually put another screw basically this way, and then put another dowel to kind of cover it up. That will basically ensure that this crack will never open again. This is an 1898 Krag rifle stock. This is an original Krag rifle stock. Unfortunately, most of the marks have been sanded away. How you can tell the Krag rifle stocks, the 1898, 1896, is the 1898s had this square cut right here, whereas this one, being in 1896, had this kind of oval cut, and then it was kind of recessed in here. So the next step that we're going to do is actually we're going to cut this piece out, and we're going to make it look like this. Probably accomplish that with a Dremel, and then probably files. You know, again, we're going to be basically cutting this section out and just kind of like dishing it out in order to fit. This will fit an 1898 and an 1896 action, but we want this to fit the 1890. We want this to actually work for an 1896. You know, back in the day, they didn't have Dremels. They didn't have any of that stuff. This stuff was done by hand with files and probably some wood carving type stuff. I mean, there was a certain amount of automation, I imagine, when they made rifle stocks back then, but a lot of the stuff was actually fitted by hand or fit by hand. And then we also have to pop this little retainer pin out, which will go right about here, and that will basically keep the front band, where we at? There we go. That'll keep the rear band, in place. So a few more things left to do on this, and then we're going to be putting a stained top coat. Again, I'm going to fill this with some epoxy right to the top to level it off. That'll actually clean this area up really nicely after I put the screw in there. And that'll just kind of anchor it down to here. This, like I said, I have zero fears that this will ever come loose again. This does have the front and rear handguard recesses in there, you can probably see. But yeah, overall the stock turned out nice. It took several coats of degreaser and boiling and bleaching in order to get it this light. You know, this piece is new, so we're trying to get this to match as closely as possible. More than likely, once we do the top coat stain, or the stain in the top coat, this will get one light coat of Phoebing's light brown, which will give it that kind of reddish military brown. This will get several coats because I want this to match this perfectly. And then it'll get a nice polyurethane top coat, and this rifle stock will be good to go. So all that's left is just this piece and this piece here. So when we come back, or next time you see it, this thing will be completely 100% going from a sporterized rifle to a full-length functional 1896 replica rifle stock for the Krag rifle. So stay tuned.